evening. Good evening. I was jamming to the countdown. Good evening. Thank you for joining me today. I am Shannon Hughes. I'm the founder of the Wellness Collective. And I just wanted to come on today to do a quick live regarding our newest and most exciting venture, our Mom's Virtual Assistance firm, which will be launching next year, January 2023. So this is just an opportunity to talk a little bit about what that is, what to expect, and a little bit more about the Wellness Collective and all the things that we have going on. So before we get to moms, I wanted to first talk about the community bank, which is hosted through the Wellness Collective. If you are unfamiliar, which is totally fine, we're super low key for the most part. The Wellness Collective is a mutual aid collective. We like to say it's mutual aid on steroids. Our intention is to fill the gaps. So like we're always looking for where the gaps in society exist. Our intention is not to just address immediate needs, but our intention is to, swim up the stream a bit, figure out what the underlying cause is, and start to fill in those gaps so that folks can be stable and sustainable without having to be resource dependent or anything like that. I started the Wellness Collective in 2019. It's actually a project I've been working on, or it's a thing that I've been working on for upwards of 11 years prior to the Wellness Collective being the way that it actually structured. But for my entire professional career, I've been trying to figure out how do we bridge the gap, right? I'm a social worker by trade. I've been in nonprofit for my entire professional career. And, when you work in nonprofit or in social services, you recognize the ways that traditional social safety nets do help, but you also acknowledge and recognize how, that there are gaps that still exist, contrary to what some folks might believe. And so personally, I was never really comfortable with, having to turn people away, which, happens quite often, knowing that they don't have anybody on the other side of the door. So, it became pretty common practice for myself that I would take off my nonprofit hat, my organizational hat, and I would meet that person as a neighbor, as a community member. I would help folks like from whatever resources that I had. And then I got into practice of, even if I had it and I could do it myself, I personally and still do believe that we should be looking out for each other as a community. And so when someone would have a need, even if I could do it myself, I would reach out to other neighbors and say like, hey, our neighbor needs a thing. Do you have $5? Do you have $1? Do you have resources or whatever it is? Like we should be collectively pouring into each other. And that's just kind of been practice for, some time. It got to the point where, people were reaching out to me, but it then felt like you should not have to know me or be connected with me somehow or be in good relationship with me in order to receive support. And I also knew that I'm not the only person like myself, doing things to support each other. So like I was thinking about, well, how do we operationalize support? How do we reintroduce community infrastructure essentially? And so that's where the Wellness Collective became a real thing. It had form, and that was about 2019, end of 2019. So we got started then, mostly doing crowdfunding campaigns for neighbors who were experiencing gap crisis, needing gap support, and then some, support underneath that. And that was really, really beautiful. Helped so many people in such a short amount of time. And the thing that was beautiful to me that I wasn't even expecting was that, eventually it started creeping outside of my immediate network. And eventually outside of my, secondary network. And it became folks that I had no connection to whatsoever. Who started to pour into neighbors. Like people were excited about it, which was beautiful. Like just knowing that like truly, it just doesn't take a lot. It just does not take a lot for us to make such a huge impact. So, the fact that folks were able to like donate $1, $3, $5, $20, etc. And it literally would save someone's life, keep them off the streets, like whatever the need was, like we've been able to help so many folks avoid eviction just with our small giving. And I absolutely believe that it just doesn't take any of us to pour in more than what we have to spare. Truly what we like to say is the price of a cup of coffee is all you need and literally to pour in order to support a whole entire community. And that's absolute facts. And I say that with confidence because we've done it over and over and over again, right? So anyway, so that's that. That's how we got here. Um, and in addition to again, like in addition to the immediate support, we like to focus on like what are the underlying causes, because ultimately what we're focusing on is what are the systemic gaps and how do we fill those in. So if you are familiar with the Wellness Collective, you may be familiar with our what was the community delivery hotline. We help to make sure that people have access to food, um, and et cetera. Like if they have mobility issues or whatnot, like we help to make sure that people have access to the things that they need. And then our mental wellness speed dating, focusing on mental health access or access to mental health resources, understanding that it is not easy at all to find a mental health professional. Like if you're looking for a therapist or a counselor, et cetera, it takes upwards of a year plus to find a person that actually matches, which can be really like that can be a really arduous task to try to find somebody, especially if you're in need of support and depending on how heavy that need might be. So like it tends to take average around a year or so to find the right type of the right person, and so to cut through those barriers on top of other ones, right? Like so finding the person, setting appointments, getting to the appointments, finding childcare, maybe having to pay for that first appointment, all of those things, cutting through all of that. Our mental wellness speed dating event allows for people to meet with practitioners virtually. So like it cuts through all of that, like logistical barriers, and getting right to like seeing the people, right? And so 7 minutes each in a private virtual space to get a feel for the practitioner, ask the questions, the pertinent questions, logistical questions, like, do you do this? Like, I'm looking for this, and getting a feel for like the vibes. Like, does this person actually match me? Like, do they understand my language? Do we share language? Do we share cultural understanding? Do I feel safe here? Do I feel comfortable? And then we move forward versus like, again, going through the process of finding one person, hopefully they have availability, hopefully getting an appointment, hopefully having all the ducks in a row to get to that appointment and hoping that it actually works out. And it doesn't always work out, unfortunately, which, knocks folks right back down to square one. So, mental wellness speed dating is a cool way to kind of cut through all of that. So those are two ways that we show up for community, again, focusing on not only like what is the need. So like with the community delivery hotline, the need, we'll say food, because that's our primary thing that we deliver. People need food. That's the immediate need. But what's the underlying cause? One of the major underlying causes is mobility, transportation. Okay, bet we'll do that. And for mental health and wellness, what's the need? I need a therapist, or I need a spiritual counselor, or et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's the need. What's the underlying condition, the underlying barrier? Logistics, for the most part. So bet, like we got that. So those are two things. Like if you're catching the way that we operate, it is very much like this is what the thing is. Let's build something in place to bridge that gap. So I'm going to bring on our CEO. And he's going to talk a little bit about his experience with the Wellness Collective and kind of tee us up for our newest venture. Christian, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me well enough?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Excellent, excellent. So glad to be here on this evening. Um, First of all, to state the obvious, I am Shannon's husband, but also I am the CEO of the Wellness Collective. So I am just thrilled, over the moon thrilled to both work with my wife, work for my wife, and support my wife. As she has mentioned, the Wellness Collective really is a formalization of work that Shannon's been doing now for at least 12 years. And, we're just so grateful to be able to provide as a collective immediate service, or as immediate as possible, to you all, our neighbors. Now, one thing I know that's near and dear to myself with the Wellness Collective is the mental wellness speed dating. Someone such as myself who is so far removed from how do you access mental health resources, how do you access mental health professionals. I am an architect by trade, so I don't even know where to start. So having something like the mental wellness speed dating is very much so fruitful for persons like myself and others who maybe we work sun up, sun down, and I'm in the work van now, right? We work sun up, sun down, but we know we need, access to health professionals, mental health professionals specifically. We know it's easy to find a doctor if our knee hurts. It's easy to find an optometrist if we need new glasses. It's not that easy to find a therapist. My time here at the Wellness Collective has consisted of helping kind of, what's the word I want to look for, solidify a lot of our processes and procedures on the background. So Shannon is very much so the face, and Shannon will very much always be the face because I prefer to just be in the background. However, that does not impede on the work and the mission. So what we have for you all tonight is something very, very special that is also the brainchild of Shannon's. I'm just here to put the wheels on the wagon. Is we have the higher moms, as you all see at the top and in the bottom corner. You can see the heart, the mom's virtual assistants. I'm going to give a brief overview of what that is, and then I'm going to let Shannon expound. So, from my own perspective, she can give you the dictionary version of what it is, but I can tell you from my own perspective and from my heart what it is. Mom's virtual assistance is the opportunity to provide to allow for virtual employment to happen for our moms who still want to be very much so connected with their motherly responsibilities. What does that mean? We are now in a pandemic society, which is now turning into an endemic society. We know that the pandemic has allowed for, or I should say, ushered in a new era of working from home. However, if you had that type of job, if you will, that gave you the flexibility to work from home, you were able to work from home. If you were an essential worker and or if you had another type of position where, quite frankly, your boss didn't care or the work was not set up to where you could do it virtually. And then you had to pick between, do I stay at home and make sure that I and my kids are safe because I could go into the workforce and contract the virus or anything else to bring it home? Or do I go out and support my family and risk contracting the virus and everything else to come home? So Moms Virtual gives our moms that we will hire the opportunity to move into virtual employment if they had not been able to have virtual employment prior to. And we all know that virtual employment for parents allows for parents to be more present with their children, which we know that then shows itself to be more impactful on children's mental and emotional health as well as their performance in school. So that's just a little bit of my spiel on why we're here tonight, on why we continue to be here with the Wellness Collective, and I will let Shannon take it away.
Beautiful, beautiful, Mr. Hughes. Thank you so much for that overview. Absolutely, and just as Christian has said, we are in a pandemic turning endemic society. On top of that, there's a new. I don't know if it's new. It's new to me. Is it RSV, RSVP, RVP? The thing. I've just recently heard
RSV.
RSV, thank you. I've only recently personally heard of it because I know several folks who either they are experiencing it or unfortunately their babies or kids are experiencing it. I've been seeing reports of it being super intense and scary. And, as a new mother myself, our daughter mine and Christian's daughter is only 6 months old. And so, I've definitely been thinking about like, what does it look like to keep my tiny little child safe? And I know that's been not only has that been the theme throughout the pandemic, just that balance of how do I take care of my kids and also be the breadwinner at home has always been a challenge. And so how we got to coming up with Moms Virtual is what we noticed is from the time that we started, and again we're pretty new. We've only been around since 2019 in this formation. But the majority of folks who reach out to us are mothers, and they're mothers who are seeking support because they cannot work, because the babies are home from school, as all of our children were at home from school for a long period of time, and even now with the kids returning to school, many of them still don't have transportation because of the impact of COVID. Childcare either is not accessible, or quite frankly, sometimes unfortunately isn't safe. But all of these different things that mothers face, when they're having to, again, be the breadwinner and primary caretaker at the same time. So we thought about, like, okay, again, our mission is like, what is the immediate need? Bet. What's the underlying cause? Let's work there. And so, in the ways that we're working in that underlying cause is being able to provide employment that provides livable wage, right, for mothers, so that mothers can, work from home, provide adequate care for their children, be flexible in their time, and again, be able to pay the bills. So that's also another thing, is that perhaps you do have work that is remote, but is it paying well enough? So like there's always that barrier, that trade off. Like rent is not going down anytime soon. It's actually going higher. The cost of living is increasing on a daily basis, and so what does that look like to continue to provide for a family? So with Moms Virtual, we contract with companies, community groups, and also families who need additional assistance to provide things like customer care. That's the phone, text, email, chat support. That's also bookkeeping, which is a huge thing if you're a mompreneur like myself, or an entrepreneur like Christian. That bookkeeping is definitely going to come in handy for you. Also providing things like non-legal document creation. So we don't do contracts or anything like that, but we do help with things like job descriptions, SOPs, that's standard operating procedures, et cetera, things like that, to make sure that your operations for your business are running to the standard that you see for your business. Also, things like social media support. Now, I want to briefly emphasize that we're saying support, and that basically means that we will do everything pretty much short of content creation. We're not in the business of content creation in this way, but everything else, sourcing material from the internet, managing the social media schedule, that sort of thing, will definitely help with as well. As far as families go, the support with family, very similarly, like, again, like being a young mother myself, a new mother myself, not that young anymore, but a new mother myself, needing things like support with making sure that schedules are being maintained, correspondence with important, entities like doctors and schools, et cetera, things like that, maybe some meal prep, meal planning, things of that nature, will also provide support with. So those are the benefits for our clients. For our moms, the benefits are, of course, like being able to work from home. Our moms will be able to make between $20 and $32 an hour. It's part-time and it's contractual work, independent contractor work, but being able to be flexible and having the opportunity to grow as we grow, right? Like we're brand new and hitting the scene beginning January of 2023, but excited about that. And we have all the potential in the world to grow. So if you are a mom who is seeking support or seeking new employment, new adventure, new opportunities, this may very well be for you. So we are currently interviewing, which I'm so excited. We started today interviewing moms for this position. We're going to start with a smaller cohort, again, because we're getting started. But if you interview with us, if we do not pick you for this cohort, that does not mean that we don't pick you overall. That just means we're starting with a really small number, just to make sure that we rev up our engines, efficiently enough. So we may roll back around to you, and we'll make that very clear in our communication. But if you are interested in applying to be a mom, I do encourage you to reach out to us via email. You can contact us at admin@thewellfolk.org. And just, shoot us a quick line and say, hey, I'm interested in, possibly becoming a mom. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? And either myself or Kenya will follow up with you. Again, this is our newest venture that we're very, very much excited about. Now, I've, told you about several different things that we have going on. We have several more, actually. We keep pretty busy. It's exciting times over at the Wellness Collective, and mainly because we get to basically do whatever we want. So we get to dream as big as we want, as we see necessary. So when there are things like, challenges and barriers that come up, we get very excited about it, because it's like, okay, now how do we fill this gap? And that's where we come up with things like mom's virtual assistants, the community delivery hotline, et cetera, and so on. So we do have some other things that I'm not going to spend too much time speaking about here, but I do encourage you to check out our website, which is the Wellfolk, excuse me, thewellfolk.org. That's THEWELLFOLK.org. But one of the other things that I am going to touch on is our community bank. Again, we're a mutual aid collective. So that means that our members are due paying, for lack of better words, like we all pay in and contribute to the community bank, because that's how we then in turn support each other. Again, like, our traditional social safety nets don't necessarily have the capacity to support folks, everybody in the needs that they have, be it like, limited resources, or they have, different barriers and restrictions from federal requirements, et cetera, things like that. Because we are not held to those same restrictions, we get to be very, very flexible and supportive of each other. And so the ways that we do that is that we contribute to the community bank. We also have, some really, really phenomenal foundation supporters that keeps our pot of resources pretty hefty. And so, like, when our folks do have needs, we're able to show up with the immediate need while we're also doing the infrastructure building, which is ultimately our goal. So with the community bank, the way it's structured is we have several branches, as banks do. I think there's actually quite a bit of branches. I think there's 15 total. And they're, broken down: housing, food, mental health, physical health, et cetera, et cetera. So each member of the bank chooses whatever branch that they, feel most passionate about, and that's the branch that they belong to and are contributing to. When a person has a need, it comes to the Wellness Collective. We send it off to the appropriate branch, and then those folks take lead in deciding how we're going to support our neighbor. And so, like, that's a way for us to kind of take the ownership off of us and put it back on the community. And when I say ownership, I do mean agency, taking the power from us as, the staff internally, and allowing that power and that, like that decision making to go onto the community. One of the things that I was pretty intentional about is to make sure that I'm not the center of everything. Though I started the Wellness Collective, I think it's important that, like, one thing is, like, I don't know everything. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I don't, and I don't feel comfortable being like the person to say what goes and what doesn't go. For anybody. Like, I think, like, if we're all going to contribute, then we all should have a say so in a uniform way. To make sure that we're supporting each other. So the community bank is super cool and interesting. It's an opportunity, like, because we already have a wealth of resources, like, becoming a member of the community bank means that you also have access to resources that you may need. Now, we are shifting our model. This will be the first time that we're saying it, and our folks are going to hear more about it, as time goes on. We're shifting our model from being open to being a closed network, which means that in order to receive support from the community bank, you have to be a member of the community bank. And that's just to really hone in on the reciprocity. We want to make sure that we're able to keep the doors open, basically. And so, like, in order to make sure that there's resources constantly flowing in and flowing out, we have to make sure that, like, the folks who are receiving are also giving. And that could be both financial giving, and we really make it accessible, right? Like, you can be a member of the community bank for $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Or it could be through time. We're working out some cool and interesting relationships to offer time banking. So if you would like to participate, and maybe financially you're like, this is just not, I don't feel comfortable, I don't think I have that type of financial flexibility, you can also offer your time up. And that'll be your contribution to the bank as well. Now, that's one requirement for being in the bank. The other requirement is recruiting other members to be a part of the bank. So each month you have to recruit one person to be a part of the bank as well. And again, that's the intention for that, is to make sure that we keep the doors open so that we're continuously building up the resources. So when any of us has a need, not only when we have a need, but also there's space for us to, capture opportunity as well. But in order to do that, we also have to contribute to the space so that we can receive from it. We've, again, like, this is a model that we've shown time and time again. It's effective, it's powerful, and it's a matter of putting the power on the people and in the people. And so instead of us having to hope that someone else is going to see the humanity in us, like hope that someone else is going to value us, hope that someone else is going to invest in us, we can do that on our own. Like, we can do that on our own, and it doesn't take a lot. Like I said, I pay somewhere between $5 and $9 for coffee in on any given day, and I don't bat an eye about it. And I can pay less to be a member of the community bank and have so much impact just on that. So if that is something that you might be interested in, I do encourage you to check out our website. You can go to thewellfolk.org/community bank and learn a little bit more about it. And like I said, it is pretty interesting, and being a member does also mean that you are receiving support. You're being covered by that space as well. Not only in crisis moments, but there's also opportunity to receive support when there is opportunity at the helm. But later on that, the reason why I'm speaking so much in depth about the community bank is because with Moms Virtual is actually a project that sits inside of the community bank. And so what that means is our clients of Mom's Virtual Assistant. So for myself, I also run self-care housekeeping. We're absolutely going to be a client of Moms Virtual. We will essentially be a member of the community bank. And what that means is our contribution is going to be our subscription to the service itself. So, as we are paying for our service, our care, we're going to pay our moms, of course, and the overhead, of course, but the revenue, all of the money that's earned from Moms Virtual goes into the community bank. And that means that, like, the money that is earned is going directly into the community itself. So we really, really wanted to make sure that there's full circle. And that's our way of doing so. Because it's going into the community bank, that also means it's tax deductible for the clients. So for self-care housekeeping, that will be tax deductible for self-care housekeeping, while we're also, again, supporting our community, and it's completely hands off. I don't have to do anything extra if I don't want to. Like, I'm super, super busy, if you know me, like, so, like, having extra time to volunteer is like slim and getting slimmer as my child gets older, and Chris and I, go off on new adventures. So I don't always have the time to contribute, but I can contribute my money. And I can do that, like I said, seamlessly while I'm receiving support. I'm also supporting the community. So, like, this is why we're so excited about, or me personally, I can't speak for anybody else in our little world here, but me personally, that's what I'm super excited about, is because we get to not only support moms, not only receive support as business owners, but we also get to support our community as a whole. And while also doing it with tax deductible dollars. So, like, that's super exciting to me. I'm going to take a step back, because I've been talking a lot, and ask Chris if you had anything to add. Did I miss anything regarding the structure or moms or the bank?
I think you covered everything pretty comprehensively. On that note, I do believe it's time to tell everybody to have a good evening.
All right, husband. I hear you loud and clear. So thank you so much. And thank you for wrapping it up, because, I will get the rambling and then I'll dive into my, like, and then it's this, and it's that. Because I am excited, clearly. So yeah, so that is pretty much it. Moms Virtual, we are super excited, like I said, to get started next year. Will be, following up. So if you have signed up already, you will be hearing more and more from us. Like, you'll be receiving more and more information about it, both moms who are interested in becoming a mom, but also business owners and families who are interested in hiring moms. So you'll be hearing more from us in that. If you do have any additional questions, feel free. Again, you can reach out to us at admin@thewellfolk.org. Shoot us over a quick email. Let us know what your question is. We can interface that way. Or if you're interested in applying to become a mom, feel free to hit that email, and we'll go from there as well. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to listen to us tonight, to at least, like, celebrate with us, this pending project that we're working on. The Wellness Collective has absolutely been a baby of mine that I've been seeding for, as mentioned, over 11 years. I've been working for over 12 now. And so I very much appreciate you all being a part of this journey with me. And C Money, big shout out to you, husband. Christian Hughes, our CEO, who has been absolutely there 100% of the way and helping to keep this ball rolling. All right, I thought you were going to say something. So with that said, thank you all. I hope y'all have a good evening and we'll see you around.
Good night.